Okay, can you guys see my screen? Can you hear me? Okay, one second. Okay. So yeah, yesterday we spoke about the data warehousing definition, right? What is a data warehouse and what are the data points or the characteristics of a good data warehouse? Okay. So that you're clear, right? So today let's talk about data warehouse architecture. Okay. Like I showed in the previous class, you have the sources, then you have the ODS, then you have the staging, then you have your ETL, which is loading into the data warehouse, and that data warehouse is again split to different data marts, and that is again used by the reporting tools or the dashboards. Okay, so this much you were clear, right? So that is not necessarily you don't have to actually have the same architecture everywhere. Okay, so the architecture varies from project to project. Okay, so basically it can be like without ODS there can be data from different sources coming and that loads directly into the target. Okay, in some projects there might be operational data store, and some process it might be just the data marts in over there. Okay, so it is like that, so it's not uh, some rule kind of you just need to have the sources falling into ODS. Okay, it can be like the sources directly loading into the but remember you need to have a source, you need to have staging area, okay, and you need to have the target area. This thing is mandatory. Okay, so let's talk about the architecture. Okay, so this is the exact architecture. Okay, what are the different layers that are associated that makes up the data warehouse? So in general you have like 7 layers, okay, and nine, totally 9 layers. So you see this overlapping, right? So this means that this is able to access this layer. Okay, so you have the data source layer, data extraction layer, staging layer, ETL layer, data storage layer, data logic layer, and data presentation layer. Okay, these are the 7 layers which the source data has to undergo before it transformation happens. Okay, and there is a layer called metadata layer which is common for all these layers, so this layers can access this metadata. Okay, and there is system operation layer which is common to only these and not data source layer, so their system operation layer can be accessed by all these 6 layers. Okay, this is about the architecture. Okay, so in data source layer what happens is basically you have the data sources available in over there. Okay, and then you have the extraction. So what this layer does is it extracts the data, okay, from the source layer and dumps this into the staging area. Okay, that is the purpose of extraction layer. Data source layer, as the name says, it contains the sources, one or many heterogeneous sources. Okay, and then you have the data extraction layer, which is responsible for extracting the data from source and dumping that into the staging area. Okay, clear till here? Now the data is available in staging area and the transformations can be applied on the staging area. So in this ETL layer, this ETL layer will read this data, okay, and it will apply logics or transformations or formulas, whatever you can call, and it will convert the staging area data into the data that is required in the target. So target is where you store the data after conversion. Okay. So this transformation or conversions happens here in the ETL layer. And then what happens is you store that in the data storage layer. Okay. So this is about ETL layers. Okay, till here. And this one, data logical layer and data presentation layer. So this is where your reporting sits in the presentation layer. Okay, so for example you have to generate a monthly report. So when I say monthly bank's monthly statement, okay, in that case you want to present that as a pie chart. So what happens is, for that to generate, you need data, correct? So that data is available here in the data storage layer. But what is the purpose of logic layer? Okay. So here in this logic layer, this layer actually holds the logics. Okay, this actually hold the logics that is required, okay, to work on this. So from here to here again you can think this will be the source layer for presentation layer. Okay, and this logic will act on the storage layers data, and then it will apply the logics, generate the output or the required values, and then give it to the presentation layer. Presentation layer will read these target generated values and build dashboards or reports or pie charts example. Okay. So metadata layer, metadata is nothing but it is data about data. So what is data about data? Say for example in your textbook, right, as in when you open you have the appendix, right, there you have the index part, like for example the chapter 1, okay, and the lesson name and the page numbers where that is available. Okay, so it is not the actual data what you see on the index or the starting page in your book. Okay, it is not the actual information, but it is giving you some information about where this chapter or the lessons are available. Okay, so it is talking. So this data is saying some information about some other exact data. Okay, so it is giving data about data, that is called metadata. So in real time, so in real time, you can think of your currency codes. Okay. So here you have your country, okay, and then you have your currency codes. So India, okay, INR, okay, USA, USD, Canada, Canadian dollar, then or else UK, pound. Okay. Say for example, all these are available here. Okay. Now this might be used in the mappings elsewhere. Okay, there are some tables. So in table one, you have customer name, okay, FX rate, foreign exchange rate, you have the name, from account to account, date of transfer, you have your FX rate, then you have your currency code. You say currency code. Okay. Also, if you want to add, you can add something called source country and destination country. So now, if you just look at this, you can understand. Say, for example, people who are abroad, right? You would be sending money to your home country. So in that case, I understand you would be knowing this. All those details must be required. Okay. Say, for example, you do a Zoom transfer or Western Union transfer, whatever is it, you need all these details. So here we are talking about the name, so the account holder name, from which account. Okay, so he'll be selecting the source country, say it's USA, destination country is India. Okay, and from account is your, say, Bank of America's account, and to account is your Indian bank account. And when the transaction is happening, what is the FX rate? This is the foreign exchange rate at that particular day, on that particular day, and which what is the code associated. So when you are talking about this, here comes the actual metadata. So if you see here, right, code and FX rate, so this can also have a FX rate column over here. Okay, so I'll just say FX rates, and let's say it is 78. Now, based on the amount that is there, okay, this table has to look up the source country and destination country. Say, for example, the source country is India and the destination country is US, then there'll be a FX rate associated to that. Okay, the table is wrong, and just try to put it in Excel, it will be easy. So you have the bank account, bank, then you have the source country, you have the destination country, then you have the FX rate. Let's say, let's freeze this. So this should be enough. So here you would have FX table. Okay. So there is FX table over here, which holds the source country name. Okay. The destination country name. Okay. The FX rate. Okay. And its currency codes. Okay. Now you have bank account name, you have BOFA, Bank of America. So source country says USA, destination is India, FX rate is say 75. Yes, now when you are sending this data, okay, when you are sending money, what happens is initially you won't know the source and you won't know the FX rate. So you would just key in the source and destination country. Later, what happens is to get the FX rate, this will reach out to this. Okay, Okay, so what will happen is, to get this fx rate, this will take these two inputs and reach out to this fx table, and it will fetch this data and it will give here. Okay, so that is how things will work in real time. So this is all static data. Okay, so this data is just used as a pointer wherein others can reference this and get the required values. Okay, so that is metadata. So this data is giving data about data. So one more example, you can say a simple example: currency codes and country name. Okay. So in this case, you know that the currency codes are fixed and the country name is fixed. In India, it has INR. Okay, and Canadian dollar, it is Canada. Okay, then USD, it is USA. Okay, so for example, in few of the transformations, what happens basically is, there is country. Okay, and there is a logic to get its currency code. Okay, so in that case, what happens? Along with this, there'll be n number of columns. Okay, so name. Now, now what happens to get this country name? It has to read this metadata. Okay, and here basically you have the country name, say India. Okay, so to get this country code, what it has to do, has to read this table and search for India. Okay, search for India and then get this INR. Okay, so this is what metadata is. So this table is called metadata table, and the data inside this is static. When I say static, the data does not change. Okay, it remains same throughout. Right? Are you getting? So metadata in plain language, it is the data about data. So it is telling some information about other data. Okay. System operations layer. So this layer is where you actually run your software programs or jobs. Okay, your daily batch jobs, they say. So what are daily batch jobs? Say for example, you do some transactions in your ATM in your bank, correct? So what happens at the end of the day, there will be a batch job that is running that will pick up all the transactions done for that particular associated account, and then that will be updated in the data warehouse or the database. Okay, and also another example, real time, if you can give, you have your Naukri portal, right, in India, wherein you post your resumes and look out for opportunities. So every time in the evening, here people updated. Why? Because there is a batch job that is created and automated. Say for example, at around 12 a.m. midnight, that batch job will run and it will check for all the updates that is done for a particular resume, and based on the latest update that is done, okay, that resume will actually show up top to the recruiters. Okay, so those are the bad jobs. Okay, bad jobs are nothing but these are the jobs. Job is nothing but a set of software programs which are integrated together into the system. Okay, so that will define when to run, which job to run, what are the input files it has to read, and how long the processing should happen. Okay, and what should be the output. So this keeps running every day. Some batch jobs are scheduled to run every day, some every hourly, every fortnightly, some annually, some bi-weekly, okay, some twice a year, some quarterly. So depending on the business scenario, the jobs are scheduled to run. Okay, I'll take a pause. You can ask me questions. So, yeah, that's a good question. So metadata layer, it is a layer that is accessible to all these layers. Okay. So you need to apply that logics on the metadata layer. Yeah, true, you need to apply, but this data will never change. So for example, I showed you, no, here there is country. Okay. So to get INR, definitely you need to apply a logic. What kind of logic? So you need to check if this India exists in this country name. Okay. And if it exists, then you have to get this information and populate here. So you will apply logics on this, okay, to fetch the data, but this data remains static. Oh, so basically you're saying, how do I know this table is existing in the data warehouse? So there in the project, right, you will be having a data model document. In the data modeling document, you will have all the list of tables. So this I will show you basically. Now if I show, I don't think you can. So if I open the SQL developer, so whenever you log into the SQL Developer or the database, right, left side there are a lot of tables that's been shown. You can search there, or there is one query to check if the table is existing in this schema. Okay, there are multiple ways. So that I will show you whenever I start the SQL class. But yeah, yes, yes, correct, correct. So the whole project architecture, right, will be given to you when you join the project. Okay. So you can understand the project, different layers in how the data is flowing. Okay. And what the logical or the data model also they will give you. So yesterday I showed you one diagram. You remember how the tables are existing and how the relationships are maintained between both of them. So like that, you will be having lot of documents. So in those documents, there will definitely be the tables that are created and it will be listed there in the document. If the document is not updated, you can check in the database directly. So any, yeah, which one? Yes, so system operations layer is where you actually run your batch jobs. Batch, BATCH, batch jobs. Okay, batch jobs, I told you, right? They are scheduled jobs that have some task to perform. Okay, every day, depending on the kind of business, they are scheduled in such a way to actually kick off automatically, run the process, and then finish it off. So all these jobs will be available here in the system operations layer. Okay. Others, Vishwas and Chayashri, do you have any questions? Okay, you're good, right? Yeah, this is the theory part. You can just go through it. Okay, I'll give you this PPT. But ideally, that's the same what. See here, this layer includes information on how the data system operates, such as ETL job status, system performance, and user access to etc. Okay, and from what is it, Friday, right? Today Monday, I will start with these concepts. These are very basic but very 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 important for you guys to start on understanding the ETL architectures, everything, right? So these are the concept very important. So Monday we'll have a good session on this. Okay. All right. Then, if you guys don't have any questions, let's connect Monday. Okay, I'll share the recording. If you have guys have any doubts, meanwhile, you can drop a ping to me or call me anytime. I can answer. But let's go slowly initially because few of them are very new to IT. So if we go slowly, right, then once they get into that pace of understanding, then we can kick off. Okay.